Welcome to episode 5 of the 904 Pro Show. This week, I am joined by Dr. Mike Chanatry with Chanatry Chiropractic. Great conversation sitting down with Dr. Mike talking about everything that they offer when it comes to wellness at his practice, from adjustments to acupuncture, dry needling, and he talks about the benefits of those services for his wide variety of clients, from senior citizens who like to get out on the beach and walk, his work with elite athletes like the student athletes over at Jacksonville University, members of the Jacksonville Giants, and even talks about prenatal and infant care, which is some pretty fascinating stuff. So if you're anything like me and doing some weekend warrior stuff, or maybe putting in some miles and feeling little twinges, creaks, things like that, it's a great conversation to get to know Dr. Mike and what he and his services may be able to do for you. This episode is brought to you by Pablo Beach Insurance. Locally owned, they've got a casual approach and provide professional results. They're the go-to for all the 904 pros and a lot of our viewers. If you need anything in the insurance world, from home insurance, renter's insurance, flood, auto, boat, even senior health care, Sean Murphy, president and owner, and the good folks over at Pablo Beach will be able to take care of you. So give them a call, Pablo Beach Insurance. And without further ado, let's talk to Dr. Mike Chanatry. Welcome to the 5th episode of the 904 Pro Show, connecting you to local businesses and business owners. Joining me today is Dr. Mike Chanatry. Mike, thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
So Mike and I had, Happy New Year. Mike and I, he's actually done some work on my back, my legs, my neck. I'm an aging athlete, so definitely had some need for Dr. Mike, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So before we get into a lot of that stuff, why don't you just give us a quick 2 minutes on who you are, what you do?
Well, sure. So I'm a chiropractic physician here in Jacksonville area, born and raised. Grew up, went to the Bowl School, graduated, spent 5 years in Tallahassee and on to chiropractic school, and here we are 8 years later.
Awesome. So, we've had some other people on, obviously, being the 5th episode, and pretty much everyone that's been on so far, I think, has been a transplant. Someone that came to JU or one of the other universities and ended up just loving, the area and staying. So talk to me a little bit about, just being a local guy.
Yeah, it does. It is a little bit weird from time to time, talking to patients in the office or people at the grocery store. When you mention that you are from Jacksonville, it kind of rings a bell because, not many people, that you come across can say that specifically. So, yeah, it seems to be like there is quite a bit of transplants. And, I'm a son of a transplant.
Okay.
My father's from New York, my mother's from Pennsylvania, and so I'm first generation in Jacksonville.
There you go. Gen Jag, right?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
I saw Trevor Lawrence just made like a big announcement of, he's actually going to go into the draft. So here we go.
Yeah, we were stoked. Couldn't be happier.
He may need your services.
Yeah, that would be great.
There's a plug. Trevor, if you're listening, this is the man to go to.
Let's do it.
Well, all joking aside, I know that you have worked with Jacksonville University, the Giants as well. And, when I found that out, we have Alex Ricker-Gilbert as part of the group as well. He's the athletic director over at JU. And to hear the things that the student athletes have at JU, and not just JU, at UNF, but specifically with you, that's pretty incredible. I went through longer ago than I'd like to say, but we didn't have the things that they have. So talk to me a little bit about what sort of things you do with the student athletes, because you're over there a few times a week, right?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I get to go onto campus and treat the athletes in the athletic field house. And, it's such a pleasure. It breaks up my normal routine in the office. The student athletes are extremely appreciating of the services, and they get great results. They see added performance for whether it be baseball players, soccer players, track athletes. There's usually aids in kind of shortening the recovery time if the athletes have had injuries, and it's just great to be a part of the team.
That's awesome. I was talking to one of my old teammates and roommates, Ryan Corson. We're doing some longer distance running stuff now, and I was just telling him about you and what they have available.
And, back when we were there, it was stem and ice. Stem and ice, and if something hurt, most of the soccer players that we knew were in boots, and that was pretty much it. Like, everyone had an ACL problem. And just, we were just talking about how amazing it would have been, because he has someone come over to his house like once a month. I come to you, every few weeks. And we just think about the benefits that we would have reaped from having chiropractic care, for the 4 or 5 years we were there.
Absolutely, chiropractic has kind of slowly made its way into the sports realm for all the obvious benefits. But performance of the athletes is obviously important to the individual coaches. It's a great team environment amongst the medical team, at the university, whether it be the athletic trainers, physical therapists, massage therapists, orthopedic surgeons that come in and kind of address the athletes' injuries specifically. So it's a great adjunct to getting the athletes, up and running as best they can and keeping them performing at their top.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about getting into chiropractic. It's kind of one of those things like at Adaptive, I work with a lot of professional services. So, you just growing up, I don't know a lot of people that want to be an insurance agent or a mortgage broker or, a chiropractor. People, I guess when kids are growing up, they say, I want to be a doctor, but not necessarily like, this is what I want to specialize in. So I know a lot of the chiropractors that I know is kind of this family, legacy kind of trickle down thing where, well, my grandpa was a chiropractor, but I don't think that was your case, right?
No, I'm very, very fortunate. I grew up in a household. My father was a periodontist, and dentistry in general is kind of mostly small private practices. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I gravitated towards chiropractic, where I understanding that generally the chiropractors work in smaller private practices. You kind of have control of your lifestyle as far as hours are concerned, the way you treat patients, how you want to kind of run your office specifically. So I gravitated towards, I knew that I wanted to be in a small private practice where I can have a close relationship with my patients and not necessarily be in a large system.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
It's just an easy transition.
It's always interesting to know like how people got into whatever it is they're into. And chiropractic is one of those things. Like, I guess at what point did you know that was the path you were going? I mean, was medicine something that you were interested in, and then you went over on that path?
Yeah, I did always want to be a dentist.
Okay.
I was never the best student, so admittedly, my GPA wasn't too great leaving Florida State, which is not an uncommon theme you hear from people that have spent some time in Tallahassee.
Right.
But I had an opportunity to go to Palmer College of Chiropractic, which is in Port Orange, Florida. It's close to the beach. I'm a huge surfer, so it was an easy jump from undergraduate education to I did know I wanted to be some sort of physician specifically, and I took a leap of faith, and I was very fortunate that I met my mentor, who I still work with now, Dr. David Rouse, who was working with the Jaguars at the time.
Okay.
And that kind of pulled me into it. For someone who didn't have a real sense of direction specifically, it kind of gave me something to kind of latch on to and focus on and work towards. So that's how that worked.
Got it. Awesome. So I know your office, the one I've gone to, is across from JU, right? So how long have you been there?
It is. So I've been there for 8 years.
Okay. So same amount of time you've been with JU. It's a good location.
Absolutely.
You work with the university.
Absolutely. It makes it easy to run across during lunch and get back on time.
There you go. Like I said, my first introduction with Dr. Mike, we had one of the, I guess, well-known running coaches in town, had referred my wife to him. She went and, I don't want to say like miracle worked, but, she definitely felt better right off the bat. And I had done some pretty high mileage over the summer, took about a month off and tried to jump back into it, which was probably not the smartest thing, but, away we go.
Sure.
And so, I started having issue in my knee, my hamstring, and all that. And what was great is just having, first of all, just walking in and you tell me, yeah, it may hurt here, but that's probably not the issue. And so to have that kind of expertise, and after one session I was back running, and after 2 sessions with you, I was good. And it wasn't just that. You also looked at lingering issues from all those years pitching, playing baseball. I've had some, bicycle accidents where I had concussions and jacked up shoulders and just the whole thing. And you kind of work through all that without me really saying anything.
Absolutely. So, chiropractors are very much so technicians in many aspects where, we are using our hands to kind of manipulate joints, which is we call chiropractic adjusting specifically, but it's to improve the function of the body. And, over time, joints wear. We have poor postural habits, whether it's sitting in a desk all day long or driving in a car. Things get tight. When you add on high mileage like that, those patterns become issues and things become symptomatic. So one of the things we pride ourselves on and try to distinguish ourselves specifically is the ability to really diagnose the problem. So putting all the joints through specific range of motion, stressing them, see what's not working, and even though someone might be suffering from knee pain, specifically a runner, there's many times where the hips are an issue, SI joint, basically the whole lumbopelvic complex in general, even down to the ankle become an issue. So removing those restrictions through adjusting. We also perform acupuncture and dry needling that aid in makes it a lot quicker to kind of get the outcomes we'd like, and away we go.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, having I guess, did we do acupuncture or dry needling? I know there's a slight difference between the two.
We did more dry needling.
Okay. It was a wild experience. I mean, having the stem hooked up to it and all that, but like I said, going through and just like you talked about, yes, my knee hurt, yes, my hamstring hurt, but you're cracking my foot and my ankle and my hips and all that. And then we went through doing the dry needling, and it's just stuff that I'd never considered. It's like stretch, ice, just foam rollers, all the things that you can do at home. But
yeah, and those are very important to maintaining over a long period of time.
Sure.
But from time to time, you do need a little bit of extra oomph to get you through.
Well, after like 30 years of doing the same thing, I needed some help. But I think maybe it's just my view, but I feel like a lot of people that I know have the same outlook on chiropractic. That was what our parents did when, my back hurts and all that. And it's certainly not that, like we talked about with you doing stuff with college athletes. I mean, give them some advice on, I guess, when to start considering these things and maybe getting over the, I don't want to say fear, but, people, it's loud. There's cracking, and then you're talking about needles, but
sure.
What's some advice on when to start?
First and foremost, you're definitely turning into your parents. There's no doubt about that. I know you do have kids, and no matter how much you'd like to deny it, we are turning into our parents. But no, there's an emphasis on lifestyle and younger adults, and either, I'm not sure what generations they are of kids,
sure.
and college kids and young professionals and even aging populations where people want to be functional, and they want to be able to live into later years without pain specifically, and live their best life. So it's important that this body is a vessel of yours, and it's critical to take care of it, because if you don't and you let certain nagging injuries go for certain lengths of time, then they do turn into terrible patterns that you'll fight for the rest of your life. People don't like to talk about arthritis, and I don't like to bring up that term in the office specifically, because it immediately throws everybody into a tizzy. But our bodies are meant to break down, and
right.
when you have injuries specifically to an area and they kind of go untreated, then arthritis does set in, and once you have it, that's
it. Huh?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, like I said, I think the most important thing that I realized was just coming in and getting just the overall check, just for you to say, like, hey, your hips are super tight and this is affecting performance, because it's things that, whether you're feeling it or not, I think just having someone with your expertise just to look at and say, maybe you're fine, or you should really work on at least stretching this area.
Absolutely. That's a great point. I've had friends of mine say, as I was going through chiropractic school, I heard that once you go to a chiropractor, you've got to go once a week for the rest of your life. And some people do operate in that fashion, but that's absolutely not the case specifically. What we like to do is, in your first visit, or as we kind of establish a relationship where, you know, you're trusting me and for under your care, is basically bring a lot of awareness to exactly what's going on. So when I am moving your hip around in your knee and it's eliciting a little bit of pain, or it's like, oh, that's really stuck, that's not moving, and you can feel that. And
Right.
so even just bringing some awareness to, yeah, I've never really moved my hip like that, I didn't know that was a problem. That really puts it back into your ballpark where, you know, make sure you focus on stretching that area, doing whatever other modalities you're doing at home on top of it. And, you know, I don't want to specifically see you once a week for the rest of your life.
Right.
You know, you take accountability for, you know, working through that as you're training up towards your, you know, what is the next thing you have going on?
45 miles.
45 miles, yeah. As you know, I don't want to see you once a week as you're training up for that, or even after specifically, you know. So here's the areas that you're limited in as far as, you know, joint mobility and things that might be affecting your gait, causing you pain, and the rest is yours. Help yourself take care of that.
Right. Well, and another thing that was really, I guess, great for me was, yes, there were things we needed to work on, and he's telling the truth. I mean, you said, I don't want to see you every week. Let's give it a few weeks, come back in. And again, it was 2 appointments, and then months went by, and then I came in just for a regular checkup, and I'm going to see you in a few weeks.
Yeah.
But there were a few things, like I have a pop in my hip. And I always thought there was something wrong with me, and for you to tell me, no, that's normal, it's just a pop. Like, so there's things that, yes, you're going to fix, but also things just, I don't know, from a peace of mind, it's like, oh, I'm not as broken as maybe as I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's many sorts of different types of doctors, and, you know, we're fortunate that, you know, what we do is physical medicine, and, you know, I go back to kind of diagnosing and, you know, being able to let you know this is kind of what you're experiencing. Maybe these few things that you're doing in your daily life, whether it's postural or running, or, you know, maybe you're not firing off your foot a little bit too much, are leading you to have some kind of muscle pattern issues, and, you know, and things are going to pop when you're running like that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you know, again, I would say just from my experience with him, and obviously that's why we're friends, and he's part of the group. We've got him on today. It really is something to consider, really, at any stage. I know there's even, and maybe you do it or not, but I know there's like infant chiropractic care as well. I mean, we never did that, but I know that's a thing.
There's, you know, all perinatal care. So, you know, it's highly encouraged for pregnant mothers specifically to kind of maintain some sort of chiropractic care leading up to their giving birth to the child, because, you know, the body that's giving birth needs to be working too, you know, and generally, you know, 9 times out of 10 after a mother has been under care, they will usually always bring in their infant to be seen too, just because it is kind of trust between the patients, and when you see the benefits of chiropractic care, you want the same for your whole family. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it's something I never thought of, and I know we have a few friends that do it, and again, it's just kind of crazy stuff to think of. But I mean, again, like for me, knowing that it took me this long to get in and have any of this stuff done, and I feel the difference already. So it's good stuff. I mean, that's got to feel good, right? Like having hands-on instead of just like prescribing someone a pill and hoping they get better. Like you're hands-on with them.
It keeps me going back to the office every day.
Yeah.
I love helping out all my patients. I love doing what I'm doing. It's very gratifying in that aspect, and you know, there's a place for it in amongst, you know, the entire population, and yeah.
I mean, it seems like even, you know, if you're just, you know, like a leisurely walker, you know, someone just likes to go out and do the Sunrise Beach thing, or someone that's doing some crazy ultra running, you know, and kind of everything in between.
Yeah, we do have different. We have some special tables that do different things. You know, there is some curiosity with chiropractic as far as some of the popping of the joints, and, you know, people are a little bit weary of that, and we do have many techniques to make sure that there's low force adjusting. If there's a big football player that really needs their back kind of mobilized, we have the ability to do that. And then also the dry needling and acupuncture are great ways to kind of be able to improve function of the body, and get the results that you're looking for.
Yeah, and to go back to the dentist conversation, I know a lot of people are scared of the dentist, just I guess in the same way. And we've gone to several dentists over the years, and they just kind of get in and do their thing. It's not like, hey, how much force and all that. And with you, you're like, hey, do you want this fixed like now? Or how aggressive do you want to get? And I said, let's do it. And I got what I asked for. It was great.
Yeah.
But again, correcting years and years of wear and tear over one session was pretty intense. But I think based on what you're saying, people can kind of, if they want to go in and get intense, or if they just want just a little, let's try it out. They can.
Yeah, you can pick your path, and we one thing that's really important is when patients come in is just to get to know them, who they are, where they come from, why that, let's say it's pain, specifically low back pain or knee pain, how you got to this point, and really kind of just spend the time to unravel it and take it at your leisure.
There you go. Awesome. Well, again, from my seat, I highly recommend Dr. Mike. He's been amazing. Again, Trevor Lawrence, if you're watching, here you go. He's your man. Keep you in Jacksonville for a long time. Anyone watching, let them know how can they get in touch with you. Find you on the website, phone number.
ChanatryDC.com. We have phone numbers 904-743-6700. And Google works well these days too. So
that's right. And you can find him. He puts out regular articles on 904 Pros. You can click on chiropractic pretty much anywhere on our site. Find him. He's got banner ads up there. We're just anywhere you can find him, and we'll certainly put links down to website, phone number, email, all that good stuff, so you can get in touch with Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.